Hello and welcome back to Nutrisystem Live. I'm Linda and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about tailgating tips. We do know that football season is in full swing. There is a game tonight and I just wanted to get everybody kind of connected with what to do when like all that crazy food comes out and what are you going to do next and how to have kind of a game plan. So tonight we have our lead moderator from our social care team, Ryan, and he's going to help us. Say hi, Ryan.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's good to see you again. Really excited for the football season, and I know that it can bring a lot of challenges, so we're hopefully going to be able to give you some tips on it.
Yeah, definitely. We have a football pool going on here at the office, so, well, not a pool, but like just a sheet where everybody like competitively says, what do they think is going to happen tonight? And I think I'm going to win. I think Ryan's going to lose. Look at him. Look,
I
he's
disagree.
He's gonna
I think
lose.
I know more about
football. Look at
football.
the losing face. Look at the.
I think I know more about football.
Okay, anyway, so let's talk about weight loss tips. So, Ryan, when somebody is trying to lose weight and they're at a party, they're tailgating, there's lots of food around, there's that barbecuing, there's a couple of different instances, so we can cover both of them. One would be like the at home, where you're at home and you're watching TV and you're just sitting there and all that other stuff, but you have people coming over and in and out. So how do you plan for that?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Everybody, I think, is thinking about these things as we're going into the football season. I think typically I know for me, it's a lot easier to work or do better at home than it is when I go out, just because at home you feel like there's a little bit more control. You don't have to, there's not you have a lot of outs. I feel that's the best way to put it. So when you're going out, there's a couple of big things to do. It's you want to plan ahead, that's for sure, and we can go into these in more detail. But planning ahead, trying to find areas where you can have fun and maybe food's not the focus. Thinking about just ways that you might kind of scan your environment a little bit, and making sure that you're making the right choices, things like that. Very simple, keeping it simple. I think we go to these things and we tend to overcomplicate it. So I think starting first, you just want to do a little bit of a game plan.
I think so too. I think a lot of times we think of a lot of events, anytime families get together or football, we think of these as food events, and they're not necessarily food events. There is food there, but there's celebrations that are going on, and there's people that you can talk to. So a lot of times I think people get maybe get a little too caught up in we must have this and we must have that. So let's talk. One of the things that you have when you're tailgating though is you have like. There's things around, there's food, but what else is there? What else why don't you talk about like the friends or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So when you go tailgating or you're going to a party, you want to think about it as the entire event. Like, you don't want to think about it as just a place where you're going to, drink a lot or just have some drinks and eat a lot of food. I think that at tailgating parties, or if you're at like a house or you're actually at the stadium, you have things like cornhole that you can play, maybe throw a football. If you're good at doing that, I'm not, but if you are, you can do that. So that's, there's other games that you play at tailgating these days. So trying to not make the focus food all the time is really what you can do. And then also, you're there to enjoy your friends and family and stuff like that. So I think like making the focus on them and just hanging out can help you with kind of keeping your mind off of all the food, and that way you can focus on other things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then there is we have a question, but from Andrea. But
hey, Andrea.
Hi, Andrea. So let's answer this one quick, and then we can get. So, are boiled peanuts okay to have, and what's the amount you should have? Hey, peanuts are great at the ball game. So here, Ryan, one share.
Yeah. Hey, Andrea. It's good to see you. But with a power fuel, obviously you want it to be 80 to 120 calories. So typically, I think it's like 2 tablespoons for that serving size. It might be a little bit more, a little bit less, but any type of peanuts is typically all right. You just want to make sure that you're having the appropriate serving, but they can be good as a little snack, which is one of our other points here, that snacking, having small snacks, like maybe having a snack before you go, could help, just because you might not feel as hungry when you do go. So I think that's good. Or if you're bringing a snack with you, something that you feel is a little bit healthier for you, peanuts is definitely a good option. It can help with keeping you feel a little bit fuller, so that when you actually are there, you're not grabbing at all the other snacks that might not be as healthy.
That's excellent advice. And so I wanted to talk about peer pressure. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. There is peer pressure around, and even as adults, we get peer pressure, beer pressure. There's alcohol. There's all kinds of different drinking that's available while we're tailgating, and a lot of times, you feel like you want to be kind of part of it. And then, so Ryan, how do you recommend that? How's the drinking part on this?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously,
how you like beer pressure?
Yeah, it's a very good work, very good team there. I think that with going out to tailgating, obviously drinking is like a huge thing. It's like probably one of the number one things with tailgating, or a party, obviously. And on Nutrisystem, we recommend limiting it as much as possible. You want to try to go for like the lightest beer possible. Maybe like if you're drinking wine at a tailgate, which would be interesting, but if you are, some people do, I'm sure. Try to go with the driest wine possible. Definitely just watch how much you're having. Also, if you're doing other things like mixed drinks, try to make sure you're doing like a sugar-free, sugar-free juice, sugar-free or a diet soda to mix in with that. That way you're not racking up all the calories. And again, with like those light beers, like those low-carb ones or low-calorie ones, those are ways that you can help kind of keep the calorie range down. And then also, I mean, that goes again with our, hanging out with friends and playing games and stuff like that. In that, like, if you're playing games with your friends and getting out and being a little bit more active, then it can kind of help with the calories that you might intake with alcohol. But always remember that it's empty calories, so it doesn't really do too much for you. But it is a part of it, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to participate. But just remember that you can find ways that are lower calories and just ways of being active to kind of offset that.
You heard it here first. Peer pressure, it's a real thing. So anyway, Ryan's advice is great to sort of limit that as much as you can, and not to get into it too far. And I mean, because you can always jump out of that. So let's shift gears and talk a little bit about what kind of Nutrisystem snacks you'd want to take with you. So Andrea had a great point with the boiled peanuts, bringing them with you. What kind of other snacks from Nutrisystem could you have? Because I know that we have a ton of snacks that end up being pretty good for you, and then we have like this tailgating thing where we'll say, this is our best tailgating pick. So what's the best thing to take out on tailgating hangout?
Yeah, definitely a good question. From the Nutrisystem side, like almost any snack is good. I mean, we do have our popcorns, cheese puffs, things like that, zesty herb snack mix, the snack-arounds, all those things are very good, very snacky. If you're thinking about stuff like maybe outside of Nutrisystem, always going with a vegetable tray is always a good thing. That way you can make sure that you're having a lot of vegetables. Maybe altering some of your favorites are good. Like instead of wings, some people will bring like buffalo cauliflower or something like that. That we have recipes for that, and different ways to kind of, or make your own popcorn if you're kind of low on our popcorn. That's always another way that you can do it. Like finding those types of snacks, different type of nut mixes are also very good. So things that have like some substance to them, maybe like things that are maybe higher in protein a little bit. You could make like a yogurt dip or something like that. I think that's a way that people kind of help maybe bring stuff that has higher protein, because if you're using like a Greek yogurt, that can up the protein content of your snack, things like that. So and these types of things I think work very well if you're going to a party or if you're going out to a tailgate too. Just because, a lot of our snacks are portable, so you don't have to really worry about, where you're going to keep them or anything like that. They're shelf stable. I think these are great ways to be able to help with the snacking while you're out.
And don't forget to carry around that bottle of water, because you got to carry something, right? So if you're carrying water, I know how hard the water is to put in. So drinking the water is tough. So this is the way to do it. You carry a water bottle around, and you've got something in your hand, so you can't put food in it because you're doing something else with it. So Stephanie says, veggie trays go great for us, and they don't last long. Kids love them, and I do turkey wraps in my own trail mix. I actually have to agree with her. The veggie trays, people always say, oh, you brought a veggie tray. Everybody eats that stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, we had one a couple of days ago, and
we couldn't stop eating
we couldn't stop eating it because there's like all these great tomatoes and cauliflower. So you want to chat with Stephanie?
Yeah, great suggestion, Stephanie. I think that wraps are actually a very good idea because typically, like, you can cut them up in small servings too, and you can put lettuce in them. You can put all sorts of vegetables and also like turkey or some other type of meat. So you're kind of getting a little bit of protein in that. You're getting some carbs. You're also you'll probably get some fiber from the wrap, depending on what you're doing. Maybe you can use like a whole wheat wrap or maybe like a spinach wrap or something like that. So definitely like those suggestions. Your own trail mix, yeah. Like I was saying, I think that nut mixes are really good. They're like your historically great tailgating snack. So I think that trail mixes are great, especially if you're making them on your own too, because you can find certain nuts that like you like the most and have like maybe higher protein content and make those yourself so that you're getting so that you're feeling more satisfied.
Totally agree. A very daunting statistic is that 1 out of 4 people said that they gained 10 pounds or more during football season. So I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to you too. So so we've got some good tips here with how to maintain. And then Stephanie says, kids like the veggie wraps. Go figure. Oh my gosh, yeah. I know, it's great, right? They grab the veggie wraps and they're like,
they're
hey,
perfect, yeah.
Try to get them to eat the vegetables regularly, and then see if but you put the veggie wrap out, and then all of a sudden those things are going. You're like, oh, you can't have that, and they're like, hey, I must have this.
Yep.
I have kids; they do this. Anyway, so let's talk about having a game plan. I know we've already talked about that. You go in, you try to make a plan, that kind of stuff. But what other things can you do to make tailgating a little bit easier for yourself? I know that you can bring stuff to the tailgate. I know that you can bring stuff not only for yourself, but for other people that are healthy, like Stephanie does with the veggie tray. And when you're on Nutrisystem, you should love veggies. Veggies are something that you should very much be in love with, and it's something that we talk about all the time is veggies are your friends. You can eat as many of them, well, as much as the non-starchy ones as you want. So so you want to talk to us? By the way, what's your favorite vegetable? And why don't you talk about veggies a little bit?
My favorite vegetables, eggplant is one of my favorites. I had that today. I don't know if a lot of people like eggplant, but I love it. But onions, broccoli, like all those types of things are definitely my favorite. I have them on a regular basis every week. So unfortunately, you don't see very many eggplants in vegetable trays, but they should be in there.
So you can bring your own.
Yeah, I can. I can bring my own, just roast them up. But I think with a game plan too, when you go to somebody's house or you're at the tailgate, one of the big things you want to do is don't feel rushed to go up and just grab a bunch of food. I mean, take a look around, take a lap around the table, see what's there, because again, like, we aren't telling you to not have certain things. We're just saying that you might want to think about it in moderation. And I'm a little guilty of this too. It's just like I get there, everything looks so great, and you're just like, oh, I want to try this, this, and this. But if you take a minute and you just look at it and you walk around a little bit, maybe go talk to somebody and come back, it gives you a couple seconds to think about it rather than just impulsively going to grab whatever's at the table. The other thing that you can do is, I think that in your game planning, you should think about an app that you might want to bring, something that you can just snack on if you want to. This is also really great if you're at home. So like if you make an app that you know is healthy for you, you can just snack on that if everybody else is snacking on something else. That way you feel like you're a part of the group, but you're also eating healthy. And then also watch your plate size. Sometimes if there's smaller plates there, it's good to take that plate as opposed to like a bigger one. That way you can put smaller serving sizes of the foods that you want to try onto that plate, and it'll help you to maybe not overdo it.
Sure. And then so there's this thing about Uncle Joe's special chili, or the special sauce that's in there. You must have it. It's like you or your team is going to lose. And so there's a lot of pressure with that kind of stuff, that you must have this or you must have that. And I think if you explain to Uncle Joe that you're trying to get healthy and trying to feel healthier about yourself, and you want to, you're looking to make a change, a lot of times Uncle Joe's like, it's not a bad idea. And maybe Uncle Joe would be like, hey, what are you doing? Or how's that going for you? So it's good to be that change, because a lot of times people are a little intimidated when you're going to places like that you have to do kind of what everybody else is saying and everybody else is doing. And if you're kind of against the stream, it's not such a bad thing all the time. Sometimes people actually like that. Yep. So we know what Ryan's favorite vegetable is. It's an eggplant. I think my favorite vegetable, I'm so boring. I like lettuce. At least you didn't say kale, because I don't like kale at all. And I was expecting him to say kale because because me and kale have this hate relationship. Anyway, so enough about that. So I think we're kind of getting to the end.
Yep.
And did you have maybe one more tip that you wanted to share, and then we'll sign off?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that when you're I think when we go to parties in general, but especially during football season, because there's so many of them, like, you'll have a football party when your team is facing their rival in their division. You'll have a football party for the playoffs. Like you might have a party each week for each playoff game. You have a Super Bowl party. I mean, there's so many different things. And as Linda was saying, people tend to kind of let loose. So I think the biggest tip that I have is just, and I said this last time we were on, just remember that this is really about you. Think about it in terms of like, what's going to make you happy. Like, you'll know if you're going to feel bad if you have something or not. Just think about it. Think about you and what you need to do for you first before you start thinking about game planning for everybody else. Make that app for you. Grab that smaller plate for you, or just have something like have water instead of the soda or the beer for you. Just make sure you make it about yourself. I think that in all these different types of situations, we start to kind of forget about ourselves a little bit, and so I think we have to keep ourselves at the forefront when we're thinking about our health. So think about you.
He's so wise. He's such a wise person, and not just a wise guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was such a pleasure getting to spend the evening with you. Enjoy tailgating season. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, here, you can wave.
Bye.
Bye.